In the early 18th century, amidst the vibrant European Baroque period, one composer stood out for his unparalleled versatility and prolific output. With over 3,000 compositions to his name, Georg Philipp Telemann's legacy is a rich tapestry of innovation, ambition, and a deep passion for music. And though today he may be lost in the shadow of giants, in the world of Baroque music, his contributions were no less monumental. Georg Philipp Telemann was born on March 14, 1681 in Magdeburg, Germany, to a family with no musical background. As a child, his love for music was undeniable. He taught himself how to play nearly every available instrument, including the violin, oboe, cello, trombone, flute, and viola, as well as various keyboard instruments such as the harpsichord and Baroque pipe organ, among others. He would completely immerse himself in music at all hours of the day, and even wrote his first opera by the age of 12. However, his family did not initially support his musical leanings. His father, Heinrich Telemann, was a church deacon who died when George was only 4 years old, and his widowed mother, Maria, believed that music was a frivolous pursuit. Even though his passion for music burned brightly, with the support of other family members, she pushed for him to follow a more practical career in law. And so, in 1701, at the age of 20, he begrudgingly fulfilled his family's wishes and enrolled in the University of Leipzig to study law. However, it did not take long before it was made clear that his heart lay only with music. Georg Telemann did not complete his studies at the University of Leipzig. By this time, he was already composing his first major works and was beginning to make a name for himself as a composer and performer. In 1705, at just 24 years old, he landed his first major appointment as Kapellmeister in the city of Frankfurt. This was just the beginning of a career that would see him create an astonishing volume of works across virtually every genre. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Telemann was not bound by a single stylistic tradition. He had an exceptional ability to blend the diverse musical languages of Europe, French elegance, Italian virtuosity, and German complexity, into something that was uniquely his own, thus creating a sound that was both innovative and widely popular. This cosmopolitan approach would define much of his work throughout his career. Because of his work in Frankfurt, Telemann's reputation quickly grew. He soon became one of the most sought-after composers in all of Germany. But his early success in Frankfurt was just the beginning. In 1721, he moved to Hamburg, where he would spend the rest of his life as the music director of 5 major churches in the city. In this position, he oversaw all of the music for the city's public and church concerts, often writing the majority of the compositions himself. In fact, it was here where he would compose some of his most celebrated music. His Tafelmusik, a collection of orchestral suites published in 1733, is often hailed as a masterwork of Baroque orchestral music and is regarded as a prime example of his ability to blend diverse musical styles with impeccable craftsmanship. But Telemann was more than just a composer during his years in Hamburg. He was also a mentor to other musicians, an organizer of musical events, and a publisher of his own music. But Georg Philipp Telemann's output was not limited to the grand works of the court and the church. In fact, at a time when most professional musicians were often bound by the patronage of these two establishments, Telemann's independence was remarkable. He had an extraordinary ability to adapt his style to the needs of his audiences, whether it was the refined tastes of the court or the more spirited tastes of the public concert. Georg Philipp Telemann was a master of chamber music. His numerous violin sonatas, such as those in the Esercizi Musici collection, are notable for their vivid expression and technical brilliance. His concerto for flute and violin in A minor showcases his mastery of instrumentation and his gift for melody, and is often played in today's concert repertoire. One of his most groundbreaking works was the Paris Quartets. Composed in 1730, these pieces were modeled on French style, but Telemann added his unique twist by incorporating intricate counterpoint and more lively rhythms. All in all, Georg Philipp Telemann composed prolifically, producing works across nearly every genre from operas and oratorios to symphonies, concertos, and chamber music. His music was known for its inventiveness, melodic beauty, elegance, and mastery of orchestration, and was widely admired across all of Europe. Telemann's ambitious output earned him the title of the most famous composer in Germany. Notable composers such as Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach held Telemann in high regard, and many of his contemporaries even borrowed from his innovations. Yet despite his fame, Telemann's works were often overshadowed by the massive reputations of figures like Johann Sebastian Bach and Georg Friedrich Handel. Telemann lived to an extraordinary age for people during this time. After his many years in Hamburg, Georg Philipp Telemann died of a respiratory ailment on June 25, 1767 at the age of 86. And though he was highly respected throughout his life, Telemann's works gradually fell into obscurity after his death. However, in the late 20th century, his works would experience a renaissance as musicians and scholars rediscovered his genius. Today, he is regarded as one of the Baroque era's most important and innovative composers. His music, once dismissed as too eclectic or overly prolific, now a testament to the power of creativity, innovation, and dedication, qualities that continue to inspire musicians and audiences alike more than 250 years later. From his birth in Magdeburg to his death in Hamburg, Georg Philipp Telemann's life was defined by an unwavering love for music and a remarkable body of work that resulted from this passion. A composer whose influence still echoes today, Telemann's music invites us to rediscover the brilliance of a true Baroque master.